Hello, and welcome to episode number 52 of Wrestlerotica, the podcast that combines wrestling and erotica. This week we have two stories to share with you. The first story is entitled, Hot Chocolate Part 1, Trish. In this story, Trish Stratus is left in the locker room until she's interrupted by Jacqueline. Jacqueline knows that she is Trish's type and takes advantage of this. Story number 2 is entitled, Outcast Benefits. In this story, Heath, Slater, and Axel of the Social Outcasts defeat the New Day to become the new WWE Tag Team Champions. Once back in their locker room, they decide to celebrate their championship victory. Without further ado, let's get to this week's stories. This story is entitled, Hot Chocolate Part 1, Trish, and it was written by WOWEFA user, Elevator Killer. The locker room was empty when Trish got back from the autograph signing. She'd been sent to on special orders. Typical. Everyone had obviously gone out for a pre-show drink, leaving her to sit and twiddle her thumbs, waiting for them to get back and prepare for going live on air. It was strange being around the backstage area when it was so damn quiet. She half expected everyone to jump out and yell, "Surprise!" But nothing of the sort occurred. Instead, she simply sat down in her locker room and began looking through her luggage, searching for something to occupy her time. Her legs needed a shave, she noticed. At some later time, she'd go for the full wax, but for now, she'd have to settle for lathering them up and shaving them herself. She fetched her cream and razors from her overnight bag in the bathroom and pulled out a folding chair, then peeled off her tight leather pants. It was true that her rather short legs weren't her best feature, but when put together with her nice round ass and impressive breast, they made quite a nice package. She squeezed out some cream and began absent-mindedly cutting her legs with it, letting her mind wander. She knew why her legs weren't getting the attention they deserved. Usually somebody else took care of it for her. Jazz, her muscular slut girlfriend, loved to shave Trish's body, starting with her legs and finishing with her pussy, before fucking her. But unfortunately, Jazz was still out with her torn leg muscle, leaving Trish unattended too. She'd found others to pass the time. Terry was amazing with her tongue, but truth be told, Trish's tastes were most suited to darker women. She loved chocolate. Her nipples stiffened, simply thinking of Jazz's hand being buried inside her. The cool cream on her thighs heightened her senses no end. She desperately wanted to slip a finger or two into her panties, but she knew that the others could return at any second. Instead, she simply ran one finger along her leg, getting it as close to her groin as possible, feeling her flesh tingle to the touch. Breathtaking. She let out a shuddering sigh and closed her eyes. "You horny bitch!" Trish jumped, startled at the rough voice, and her eyes flew open, searching for its source. She saw soon enough. Jackie was standing in the doorway of her locker room in her referee's outfit, her massive tits barely being contained by the tightly tied, striped top. Her blonde brown hair flowed wildly down her wide, dark brown shoulders. She stood, hands on hips, a nasty grin on her face, as her eyes wandered over Trish's body. Trish trembled, her eyes locked on the intruder, and struggled to speak. "I was just... Shut up!" Jackie moved across the room, surprisingly quickly, and stood in front of the seated Trish, towering above her. "I'll ask again. Are you horny, bitch? Do you want to be fucked?"
Yes! Yes! Yes!
Trish's bottom lip quivered. She did not answer. Jackie took things into her own hands. Grabbing Trish by the hair, she pulled her roughly upwards into a violent kiss, thrusting her tongue into the buxom Canadian's mouth. With her other hand, she felt her way into Trish's panties, squeezing her big ass. Trish answered then with her tongue. She pushed it into Jackie's mouth, probing forward. Jackie gripped her ass tight, causing Trish to push closer. Sensing that she'd got what she wanted, Jackie bit down hard on Trish's tongue. The blonde slut pulled away, clutching at her mouth as tears sprang into her eyes. She opened her mouth to say something, but Jackie covered it with her hand. Shut up! I know what you like, bitch! Everyone knows about you and that hoe Jazz. We all talk about it. You love us ebony fuckers, huh? And I know that you like being dominated, don't you? You fucking slut. You love being pushed around. Trish nodded slowly, her mouth still covered. Jackie grinned nastily again. Good. She sat down, still smiling, taking her hand from Trish's mouth. Now strip for me, bitch! Trish paused for a second, then began. Still trembling slightly, she moved slowly, sensuously, moving her hands all over her beautiful body. Jackie sat, her legs spread, watching. Trish started with her black tank top, pulling it slowly up from her stomach. She pulled it inch by inch over her body, sliding it over her bountiful titties, still enclosed in their black wonder bra. Jackie let out a sigh of repressed pleasure.
Oh.
Trish tossed the top playfully at her negress master, and Jackie covered her face with it, breathing in the smell. Trish wasted no time, though. She moved quickly on, turning away from Jackie, showing her chunky thonged ass and blemish-free back. Jackie panted, Damn, white girl! You got a black woman's booty there! Trish reached around for the clasp of her bra and unhooked it slowly, sliding it off of her arms. She turned slowly round, her mouth coming into full view. Jackie gasped at the magnificent sight. Trish's tits were massive, a good 2 handfuls each, sitting perkily on her torso. They were crowned with gigantic nips, each around 2 inches in diameter and darker than Trish's usual tan. They were standing to attention now, and Trish raised one to her mouth, sucking and biting it. Jackie jumped up and smacked her on the face. They're mine, bitch! And you leave them for me! She sank back into her chair. Yee, ma'am, Trish replied meekly. She slid her hand over her tits and down past her flat washboard stomach and to her thong. Hooking her thumbs into the sides, she slid them down her legs and kicked them off into Jackie's lap. Her pussy was crowned with a thick, dark thatch of pubic hair. Again, the result of Jazz's absence. She stood, naked as the day she was born, as Jackie admired the deliciousness of her body. Jackie rose to her feet, unwinding her ref's top, and her own massive mammaries fell free of their holdings. She reached out and grabbed each of Trish's nips, twisting them in her grasp. Watching Trish wince at the pain. Yanking her downward, Jackie forced the blonde hoe to her knees, bringing her face to face with her hot pants clad cunt. Jackie's hot pants were incredibly tight. Trish could see the outlines of the ebony goddess's lips through the tight PVC. Without being told, Trish yanked the pants down and squealed with delight at the sight. Jackie's cunt was shaved bald and drilling pussy juices. The chocolatey lips split open, revealing the pinky goodness within. Jackie hadn't washed recently. Trish could tell, as she breathed in the stench of her dirty pussy. She took in a deep breath, savoring the smell, and Jackie pushed her head forward, at the same time thrusting the slit into Trish's face. I haven't cleaned my hole for some time, bitch. I've been saving it for you, she said as Trish gasped for air between her thighs. And you damn sure gonna clean it good. Lick it, slut! Uh-huh. Come on! Trish's tongue flicked out of her mouth, and plunged deep into Jackie, pushing the folds of flesh apart and pawing feverishly at the inside of her cunt. She sucked as she licked, drinking as much of the black bitch's nectar as possible, gulping it down. Jackie sure did produce a lot of juices. Oh yeah, you white hoe! Suck my pussy! That's the only thing you're good for! You know that? Oh yeah! Do my clitty! Trish had found Jackie's clitoris, and was sucking on it with all her might, pulling Jackie forward by the waist, and grasping the small organ with her tongue. Jackie stared down at her lover, and their eyes met. Jackie's chocolatey brown, Trish's dark and seductive, her face covered with a sheen of cunt juice. Jackie's lips were thrusting forward rhythmically now, fucking Trish's face. Oh shit! Here it comes! Yeah! Jackie's pussy exploded with a fountain of girl goo, smearing on Trish's face and shooting through her thick blonde hair. Trish licked as much as she could as Jackie spasmed forward and backwards, unloading her lady spunk onto her bitch's face, slapping her with her pussy lips. Finally, she ran clean, and Trish slavishly licked every inch of her dark-skinned master's cunt until it was clean of love juice. Jackie stood panting. You like that, huh, bitch? You like Master Jackie's cunt? Oh, yes! Very much so. I want more! Much more!
Feed me more!
Then you'll get it, slave! Jackie turned round and bent down, leaning on the folding chair and pointing her big, black booty at Trish. From Trish's view, she could see that Jackie hadn't wiped the last time she'd shat.
Ew!
She felt her pussy slicken once more at the thought of tasting this sexy bitch's ass. She surged forward, her tongue out, burying her face between Jackie's cheeks, her nose nestling above the asshole as her tongue plunged in. The fetid smell was overpowering, and Trish felt the overwhelming urge to finger herself whilst performing this delightful task. But she knew she must save the cunt for her master. She gripped Jackie's butt cheeks as she roughly licked her ass, cleaning the encrusted crap for Jackie's crack. Jackie began moaning loudly.
Oh!
Her body rocked by the sensation of her ass being pleasured. Oh, fuck! You've got a good tongue! That's it! Mama's ass needs cleaning, bitch! Oh, yes! When the crack was cleaned, Trish thrust her tongue inwards one last time, burying it to its base in Jackie's ass. She sat there for 5 seconds, her tongue within another woman's ass, and she felt her cunt unload onto the floor. The sensation had been too much. She couldn't hold it in, even without touching herself. Jackie heard Trish's spunk drooling onto the floor and whirled, pulling her ass from Trish's tongue. Her face was angry, furious even. She stared down on the blonde whore, and Trish stared back up, trying to look as sorry as possible. You stupid fucking hoe! That was gonna be mine! Now you're gonna have to clean it up. On all fours. Now, bitch! Shaking with both pleasure and apprehension, Trish got down on her hands and knees, and began tentatively lapping up the puddle of cunt cream she had left splattered on the floor. Jackie stood behind her, mesmerized by Trish's shapely booty, rising up and down as the little hoe licked her mess up. Time for the big one! She knelt down behind Trish, and grabbing the nearby tube of shaving cream, she squeezed a little out into her palm. She felt Trish flinch a little as she began rubbing the cream into the blonde's butthole, lubricating it as much as possible. Jackie was a harsh mistress, but even she wouldn't attempt what was to follow without a little lubricating. Trish was still bustled with her own mess, unaware of what she was about to experience. Jackie pushed one thick finger into Trish's anus and felt Trish spasm slightly against the intrusion. Jackie smiled to herself and worked another digit in, stretching the tight hole slightly. Her index and middle fingers were now firmly planted in Trish's butt. Jackie savored the moment, holding her hand inside the sexy slut's hole, then plowed another finger in. This time, Trish yelped with pain.
Oh!
You got something to say, slave? Jackie reprimanded harshly. No, mistress! Nothing at all! Trish looked over her shoulder and smiled, sexily at Jackie. The smile turned to a wince, as Jackie's fourth finger plunged in next to its counterparts. Finally, Jackie slammed her large thumb home, and Trish squealed with both pain and pleasure.
Oh!
As her first full-on orgasm of the night rocked her chunky little body. I bet that felt good, huh, slut? Yes! Please! Do it more! I'm begging you! Smack! Trish's body was rocked by another amazingly intense orgasm, as Jackie brought her free hand down hard on her buttocks. She thrashed and writhed, and pawed on Jackie's hands, her puppet. This was amazing. Her whole body was alive with feeling, her nerves heightened by the intrusion of Jackie's fist. Oh, God, yes! Spank me like the dirty little whore I am! Smack! 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 She was racked with multiple orgasms, as Jackie spanked her repeatedly. Her pussy foaming with girl goo as she bucked wildly about. Jackie began pumping her fists in and out, matching her spanking, as Trish began screaming with both pain and pleasure. Oh, yes! Please! Fuck my ass with your hand! Stretch me! Oh, God! You're amazing! Jackie was now thrusting in up to her elbow, as Trish pushed herself back onto her ebony lover's arm, her titties bouncing back and forth, her torso whiplashing with the force of every climax. She could no longer see straight. Her vision was blurred and starry, but it was worth it. Finally, Jackie slowly withdrew her arm with a hollow sucking sound. Trish slumped to the floor, and a large puddle of her own fluid, rubbing it instinctively into her breast and cunt. Jackie stood, looking down at her newest conquest. Now you know who the real black bitch of the locker room is, huh? Trish simply smiled up at her, safe in the knowledge that soon Jazz would be back, and she'd have 2 mistresses to please. The end. This story is entitled Outcast Benefits, and it was written by Axelmaniac. The following contest is scheduled for one fall, and it is for the Tag Team Championships. Lillian spoke as she had a bright smile on her beautiful facial features. Introducing first, they are the Tag Team Champions, representing the New Day, Xavier Woods and Big E.
It's a new day, yes it is!
She smiled as the champions did their entrance and soon entered the ring. Once their theme faded, Xavier had a microphone in his hand and now was ready to speak. We've been unstoppable for a good while now, and every team that has crossed our path has been unsuccessful. If you think you're getting our titles, you have another thing coming. You hear me? He said, as he passed the microphone over to Kofi, who had a smirk on his facial features. Come and try to take these from us. You won't do it. I know you won't. He grinned as the microphone got handed over to the last member, Big E. Bring it on, he said as he tossed the microphone on the mat. As their facial expressions got serious. For once, they weren't acting all goofy. They knew they were in for the fight of their life, and knew they had to get serious. Introducing their opponents, representing the Social Outcasts, Curtis Axel and Heath Slater. Lillian spoke before she climbed between the second and third rope, as she walked along the apron and walked down the silver steel steps. When her feet hit the black floor mat, the 4 members of the Outcasts climbed into the ring as they all stared down the the three members of the New Day. After a good minute, Bo, Adam, and Kofi climbed out of the ring, and now stood the four remaining wrestlers. The ref who stood in the corner walked over to the champions as he asked for the belts. Once he got them, he walked to the center of the ring as he raised them high in the air. That before he brought them down and walked towards the side of the ring as he handed them off to the crew worker. Now he walked back to the center of the ring as he watched Axel and Big E climb out and stand onto the apron. He now signaled for the bell, and once it rang, Slater and Big E walked up with Big E getting the upper hand. Time had passed, and the match had carried on for a good 10 minutes now, and all four wrestlers were tired. Kofi eventually got thrown out from ringside, as well as Adam and Bo, which now left the four alone in the ring. "This is awesome!" Chants filled the arena, and neither team wanted to back down from this match. Without any warning whatsoever, Curtis, who got tagged in midway through the match, grabbed Big E and successfully executed his perfect plex and got the 3 count.
1, 2, 3.
The fans went crazy for the now new champions, and the emotions from winning the titles took over their facial features. Curtis had tears rolling down his face, and when he got that golden title, he held it high above his head as he used his other free hand to point up towards the ceiling. "I did this for you, Dad," he said. Slater stood in the ring on other side of the ref as he too held his newly won title high above his head. "Here are your winners and the new tag team champions, Curtis Axel and Heath Slater," Lillian said as the fans went even wilder for them. "You deserve it!" Chants now filled the arena, and the emotion hit harder. Following the announcement and the official hoisting both of their arms in the air, determining the two, Curtis Axel and Heath Slater, as victorious, the New Day, Big E, Kofi Kingston, Xavier Woods, ventured to gain a blindsided attack on the new tag team champions. How much hearing that the trio, who used the freebird rule and the numbers game on multiple occasions to gain advantages and tainted wins over other teams in the past, were no longer champions, and their reign had come to an abrupt end. That stung. The unified unicorns didn't have an opportunity to, as both members of the Social Outcasts slid out of the ring, before the enraged former champions and Xavier Woods could get their hands on them, celebrating outside the ring with all the fans, who seized the previous chant, only to begin a "Yes!" chant, echoing throughout the entire ring.
Yes! 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 Yes!
As both champions exited to the backstage. Curtis and Heath returned to their shared green room together. Adam and Bo had already left for the evening, for one reason or another, as did most of the roster. The door closed after a nudge of Axel's right phalange against the material. Afterward, he shrugged the championship title from his broad shoulder, tossing it on the armrest of the leather interior sofa inside the locker room. Appendages rasped through brunette locks, following a sigh of relief from his slender petals, a breath ghosting his ajar orifice. Neither one of the two could believe the outcome of the challenge. Who knew that Axel and Slater would be champions again? Curtis couldn't half believe it himself, but as genuine as it could get, both reigned at the peak of the tag team division. "We did it, Axe! Our goal! We set out on! We finally accomplished it! Damn! This feels good! I know! Can't believe it myself! If my dad were still here, he'd be proud. He's happy, I'm sure. I'm so giddy, I could just..." "You're so giddy? You could just do what?" Lips curved at the brink, constituting a sly smirk that crept on his facial features as his partner's inquisition, in a celebratory mood, because there wasn't anything wrong with an early celebration. Sauntering to poise in front of his colleague, Slater descended swiftly from his upright stance. Knees arched and severed apart as wide as he could, crouching down. Fingers crooked in the waistband of Curtis's trunks that fit tautly against his form. In an earthward motion, he drifted the fabric from his partner's waistline along his milky smooth thighs to anchor around his ankles, coiling his fingers against the base of the limp meat.
What?
With his championship title still secured around his waist. He had no inclination in discarding the accessory from him anytime soon. Inclining, Heath's lips cleaved apart in the midst of tending closer. The bulbous crown of Curtis's prick gazed against his velveteen pouts as he commenced to devour the elder superstar in his warmth hollow crevice. He managed to draw out, his oculars fixed on the third generation superstar. Curiosity killed the cat, a true statement. But in this case, it was as fictitious as Kim Kardashian's ass. The elder wrestler didn't drift one motion in seizing the younger man's action. Curtis wasn't an idiot, but would Heath really follow through with this? When the trunks were tugged down from his waist to his knees, and the tangibility of the ginger's lips around the girth of his cock, that bristly amplified in length and width. 8 inches of rigid muscle was halfway inside Slater's hungry mouth. A breathless fuck emerged from his lips at his partner's dexterous tongue, threatening to milk him at the second. But he managed to compose himself for this instance. His right hand caressed through the ginger locks, nipping at his bottom lip as well. That's it! Suck my fucking cock! The hitch in Curtis's breathing, in conjunction with his encouragement and groans that filled the arena, only motivated the ginger to further the orgasmic assault on his partner. Drawing his head back, he conveyed the slab of meat from his mouth, only briefly, extending his drenched tongue from his crevice, elapsing by his lips enough to showcase his rosy, serpentine muscle to his partner. His hand still procured around the base, he flailed the 8 inches in his grasp. The underside of the elder champion's cock throbbed and quivered against his tongue with each impact against the thoroughly wet appendage. Tilting his head at an angle, a glob of saliva spurted from his lips, spritzing on the ivory still, not once, but twice. Shit! Tastes so fucking good, Axe! Lunging onward, he engulfed the man's cock in his mouth yet again. For a second concurrence, not able to get enough. This time, he cast short, quick motions of his head, smearing his saliva on 1/4 of the Social Outcasts' phallus. If Curtis knew that Heath had this divine mouth on him before, he would have let him gag on his cock before now. Not when the two won the championships. Aww. A genuine talent. It was like beholding the sight of a porn star hard at work. This obviously wasn't Heath's rodeo. With that, he wondered who else had the privilege of using this mouth. Closing his eyes for a few short seconds, savoring the diligence of his tag team partner. His right hand against the back of his neck, urging him on, but not forcing him down. Simply little back and forth gestures. You suck! Cock like a pro. 3 additional short pumps in his mouth. Heath, once again, withdrew the enlarged monstrosity from his torrid canal, only to ascend from his crouched position, standing upright. I want to ride you, Kurt! Still with that title around his waist, he had completely forgot that it was still around his waist. His first priority happened to be getting Curtis to come inside him. Hooking his fingers inside his own wrestling attire, yanking it down from his hips, all the way down to his knees. Stepping out the pants, one leg at a time, beginning with his left and ending in his right, he heaved the pants out of sight. If he passed up an opportunity to have Slater's tight ass, he would have to punch himself in the face. Because that would never happen. Lurking over to the couch, he plopped himself down on the leather sofa, keeping his legs apart just enough, keeping his cock rigid with light strokes, ensuring that he wouldn't prematurely let his orgasm come before entering the man that he envisioned in a whole new light in the past 5 minutes. Come ride me! Listening to the direction from the elder, step after step, Heath approached the fellow champion. A 180 degrees pivot, his lush, pearly herbs staring Curtis in the face, propping his left arm against the armrest, an inch from Curtis's championship, his right against the headrest, on the right sector of Curtis's head, the sole of his wrestling boots firmly against the brink of the cushion, both of his knees curved and spread apart, coming down. With Curtis aligning this cock, half the battle was already won. Plunging earthward as cautiously as possible, commencement of the penetration was similar to a rupture. It felt as though Curtis was tearing him apart. Shit! Continuing in his gradual pace, he deplaned on the stick, urging further into the depths of his anus. Axe! So fucking big! Out of instinct or whatever the case may have been, but Curtis endured the bliss of Heath's tight pucker, constricting his girth, compelling him to embrace the younger man's slender hips. A firm grasp underneath the strap of the championship belt. Not giving his partner time to adjust, he began lifting and heaving the redhead back down on his length in a swift tempo. Leaning forward, pecking feathery butterflies against the satiny back of the on-screen champion. In addition of the sensuality. Tightest ass I've been in. A high-pitched moan derived from the ginger each time the mushroom cap of Curtis's cock brushed against his prostate, his most sensitive area on his body. Maneuvering his hand from the headrest, he adjusted the championship title, considering it was coming undone from around his waist. With each up and down motion, his hardened wood lightly hammered against the gold material of the championship, leaking precum from the slit, which a portion oozed on the title, right in between the gladiators' helmets. Fuck! 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 Heath's moans were resounding enough to permeate throughout the walls, into the corridors. Reclining back against the sofa, Curtis bucked his hips, whilst manhandling his partner by his hips, guiding the redhead up and down on his dong. That familiar sensibility in his abdomen had awakened, so close to reaching his climax, he could feel the rush and haste to explode inside of his friend and partner in crime. I'm gonna! Unable to finish that sentence, a mass of creamy, velvety, vicious spurted from his slit, streaming through Slater's warmth, painting his walls with his nectar. Fuck, Heath! He breathed, arching his back at the explosion inside of him, experiencing the searing load spilling inside of him. Overflowing, a couple of ropes oozed from his puckered hole, trickling down Axel's cock. With his cock in his hand, he reclined back, his back against the other's chest, as he caressed and kneaded his cock furiously, until the inevitable hit him like a ton of bricks. Strings of his sperm shot from his own slit, uncontrollably, a testament to how much his tag partner aroused him. Most of the seepage stained the championship. Another strip slugged him in the face, tracing from his bottom lip to underneath his right eye. Curtis! Shit! So fucking good, man! Leaning back, he nipped the elder man's bottom lip. Never had a cock this good before. The end. Thank you for listening to episode number 52 of Wrestlerotica. We hope that you enjoyed this week's stories. If you enjoyed this week's stories, please be sure to like and review us in iTunes. This helps us out tremendously. Visit us elsewhere online, including Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, and as always, our official website, WrestleRoticaPod.com. Thank you and have a good week.